Good morning, grade 8. Today, we will continue with chapter 7, Orthonormal System. As a reminder of the formulas, if I is the midpoint of AB and we need to calculate the coordinates of I, then xi equal xa plus xb over 2 and yi equal ya plus yb over 2. If we need to calculate the length of AB, then AB is equal to radical xb minus xa squared plus yb minus ya squared. And if G is the center of gravity of triangle ABC and we need to calculate the coordinates of G, then xg equal xa plus xb plus xc over 3 and yg equal ya plus yb plus yc over 3. Please open your books on page 46 in order to solve number 3. In an orthonormal system of axes x prime or x, y prime or y, consider the points a31, b minus 1 minus 3 and I 4 minus 2. And this is the representation of the locations of the points a, b and I. In part 1, we have to calculate the coordinates of J, the midpoint of AB. So J is the midpoint of AB, then xj equal xa plus xb over 2 equal 3 minus 1 over 2 equal 1. And yj equal ya plus yb over 2 equal 1 minus 3 over 2 equal minus 1. Then the coordinates of J are 1 minus 1. And this is the location of J in the orthonormal system. Before we continue with part 2, let's take a note concerning the symmetry. Let's take the first example. If A and I are two given points, and B is the symmetric of A with respect to I, so we have with respect to I, then I in this case is the midpoint of AB. Let's take the second example. If M and J are two given points, and N is the symmetric of M with respect to J, so we have with respect to J, then J in this case is the midpoint of Mn. Let's get back to part 2. In this part, we have to locate the points M and N, the symmetrics of B and A with respect to I respectively. If we have to locate the points M and N, we must calculate their coordinates. We know from this given that M and N are the symmetrics of B and A with respect to I, respectively. With respect to I, that means I is the midpoint of MB, and I is the midpoint of NA. If I is the midpoint of MB, then xi equal xm plus xb over 2. We have xi equal 4 and xb equal minus 1, then 4 equal xm minus 1 over 2. We make a cross multiplication in order to calculate xm, then xm minus 1 equal 2 times 4 equal 8, then xm equal 8 plus 1, therefore xm equal 9. We still have to calculate ym. yi is equal to ym plus yb over 2 since I is the midpoint of mb. Yi is equal to minus 2 and yb is equal to minus 3. Then minus 2 equal ym minus 3 over 2. Then ym minus 3 equal 2 times minus 2 equal minus 4. Then ym equal minus 4 plus 3. Therefore, ym equal minus 1. Then the coordinates of m are 9, minus 1. I is the midpoint of NA. Then xi equal xn plus xa over 2. Xi is equal to 4 and xa is equal to 3. Then 4 equal xn plus 3 over 2. Then xn plus 3 equal 8. Then xn equal 8 minus 3. Therefore xn is equal to 5. Yi is equal to yn plus ya over 2. Yi is equal to minus 2 and ya is equal to 1. Then minus 2 equal yn plus 1 over 2. Then yn plus 1 equal minus 4. then yn equal minus 4 minus 1, therefore yn equal minus 5. Then the coordinates of n are 5 minus 5, and this is the representation of the locations of the points M and N. Before we continue with part 3, we have to take another note concerning the parallelogram. By definition, a parallelogram is a quadrilateral having its opposite sides parallel. The properties of the parallelogram are: the opposite sides are parallel. That means AB is parallel to CD and AD is parallel to BC. The opposite sides are congruent or equal. That means AB is equal to CD and AD is equal to BC. The opposite angles are congruent or equal. That means angle A is equal to angle C and angle B is equal to angle D. And the diagonals intersect at their midpoint. That means O is the midpoint of the diagonal AC and O is the midpoint also of the diagonal BD. We have to take a certain condition, one of the conditions, so that a quadrilateral would be a parallelogram. If the diagonals of the quadrilateral bisect each other, that means if the diagonals of a quadrilateral intersect at their midpoint, then in this case, this quadrilateral would be a parallelogram. Let's get back to part 3. In this part, we have to determine the nature of quadrilateral A, B, and M. In this quadrilateral, we have I midpoint of AN and I midpoint of BM from part 2. That means the two diagonals AN and BM in the quadrilateral AB and M, they intersect at their midpoint I. That means AB and M is a parallelogram. In part 4, the line IJ cuts MN in the point E. We have to calculate the coordinates of E. We have J the midpoint of AB, I the center of the parallelogram AB and M, then E is the midpoint of MN. So if we need to calculate the coordinates of E, we have XE equal XM plus XN over 2 equal 9 plus 5 over 2 equal 7. And YE equal YM plus YN over 2 equal minus 1 minus 5 over 2 equal minus 3. Then the coordinates of E are 7 minus 3. Don't forget to write the exercise in this video on your notebooks and to do the assignment, which is the extra worksheet number 2. This assignment is due for Wednesday, May 20th, 2020. Thank you so much for listening.